What do you value more when it comes to determining GOAT status? Statistics or rings? And is LeBron James trying to stat pad his way to GOAT status? We will discuss all this and more on this week's edition of the Outta Bounds podcast. Let's get it. Almost slipped up there a little bit, but hey, one take Drake in this video.
One take Drake. That's all we do.
Exactly.
One
What's
take Drake.
good,
That's all we do.
everybody? Welcome to episode 39 of the Outta Bounds podcast. As always, I go by the name of Ladale and managing director here at True Agriculture Magazine. And alongside me is the young blood, Mr. Noel Austin, aka Third Eye, aka what? No,
Mr. Euro what? Step to your girl, and we got a new AKA because it's April. Step back to graduation because your boy got the cap and gown.
Let's get it.
We get into that time, that graduation time. So
yeah, man, you about to hit the pros.
I'm about to get out of the G League is almost up, my nigga. G League is almost up, and we about to get to this pro thing called life.
So about to hit that real adult life. And you guys know we're normally a big three. The big three is not in full effect this week because I got Mr. Radio Donnie, the man in the middle. He's busy prepping for his radio show, but he'll be back hopefully next week. So shout out to the man Donnie and all that. But no, my brothers, you said graduation's coming up. How you feeling? Soon about to walk down those steps, turn that tassel, and then the real life is gonna hit.
Taxes finna hit. That's what's finna hit. Taxes.
Welcome to the real
world. Loans finna hit. I worked hard for it, man. I think I'm just enjoying it every day. I'm enjoying the rest of college that I got because you only do it once. You know what I'm saying? You only go through your bachelor's, your undergrad once, unless you go get your master's, doctorate. But you only do it once, and so it's like, I'm just trying to enjoy it. I'm just trying to enjoy the rest of the time I got with my friends, and we're just gonna rock out until we get there. So that's really what I'm focused on. So that's it.
Yeah, but let me ask you this because I remember when I first graduated out of college, initially leading up to it, I couldn't wait to get out. I'm like, it's time.
But then you get out,
and then you get out, you're like,
fuck. What do I do?
Are you ready for that moment when it comes?
Or do you
just already know? You know what? I'm done with this. This is what I want to do. I'm good.
I feel like
I did my time.
To make my transition easier, I feel like if job hunt is already started for me. It's not even April yet. But I feel like if I can line up a job in my industry for my degree and kind of make that smooth transition into the industry, I don't think I'll probably be so oh my god, this is too like if I graduate and I just decide to do nothing, then maybe possibly. But like I said, if that smooth transition to adulthood is okay, I got a job in my industry and I can it's fun and I enjoy it, then the transition won't be too bad. So that's kind of how I see it. But we gonna try.
Yeah, hopefully, as always, I would say my hopes here is whether it's with True Agriculture or with my new entity, Ground Up Media Productions. More on that coming soon. Shameless plug. But my goal is always to help, my people have that smooth transition into adulthood after college. So I would love to hopefully do my part. But you know what, you guys out there in YouTube land, you guys can help me do my part for my young blood, Noah Austin, by liking this video, sharing this video, subscribe to the channel, put everybody on, because likes on YouTube is like food and water. You cannot survive without it. So we got to do our part to maintain ourselves into the YouTube algorithm. That way we could get that ad money, and we could splurge a little bit. So that's the plan. But speaking of money and all that, let's get into it. Look at that transition. Biggest surprises from the NFL all season, man. We skipped last week, ladies and gentlemen. The reason for that because for episode 38, which is heavily focused on Calvin Ridley's suspension, early news in regards to NFL free agency, Tom Brady announced his unretirement later on that day. So that just let me know that, the weeks to come is going to be nothing but big news. We see big trades, superstar Pro Bowl players move from one organization to the next. Dudes signing massive contracts. The media's all up in a frenzy. And also, it's been a busy week. Busy past week in NFL free agency and trades during the all season. Almost kind of rivaling in the NBA. Because
Mm-hmm.
remember, people always used to say when it comes down to the NFL that players they normally stick to their teams.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time, like the franchise, like they'll either tender their players, put the franchise tag on them, re-sign them, restructure the contracts. But man, we seen Russell Wilson get traded. We seen Devontae Adams get traded. We seen Matt Ryan get traded.
I
We seen
think I
Deshaun
think
Watson get traded and get a bag. There's been a lot going on, man. So, what was been like the biggest surprise for you so far this all season?
I think it makes it more exciting. I think when you see these superstars kind of change uniforms and go to a different team with a different scheme so they can build around them. I personally think it's fun. I think it's kind of boring to get drafted and you stay. I think it's just because I'm a younger fan, but it's like to stay on one team the whole time, whether it's good or bad or whatever. I don't know. I like to shake. I like to see it shaking up a little bit. I think the biggest surprise to me was the trade of Matt Ryan and then the signing of Marcus Mariota to the Atlanta Falcons. I think it surprised me one because I knew they were going to get rid of Matt Ryan. I just
Are
didn't
you
know he.
Are you happy about it? Because you've been very
Yeah,
critical of Matt
like
Ryan on this show.
I, like I said, I'm not a Falcons fan. I just live in Atlanta, so I'm a Falcons fan just by the default that I'm in Atlanta. But over the years, I feel like now that Matt Ryan's gone, I feel like it wasn't all his fault, but he did have some blame for things that have happened. But it wasn't entirely his fault. And I think it's just like I just think he just didn't fit. He didn't fit the system they were trying to make. And you're seeing the NFL now when it comes to quarterbacks. I was saying this like a year or two ago. A lot of quarterbacks are starting to run now. Even pocket passing, like Justin Herbert can run. Tom Brady can run when he needs to run. Like Josh Allen, like there's quarterbacks, not just black quarterbacks anymore. White quarterbacks are also learning that like these defensive ends have gotten
Josh
leaner.
Allen.
Like these defensive ends have gotten leaner and faster, and they can beat a guard or a tackle pretty easier than they used to. So you're gonna have to run, and I think Matt Ryan's thing, whereas I just think he just didn't fit the system they were trying to build. I mean, he had his opportunity in the Super Bowl like a couple years ago. Offensive play call just didn't work in his favor, and it is what it is. But um, I think his time is up. I just think he plateaued in Atlanta, and he hit his peak, and his peak was the Super Bowl. And when you choke on the biggest stage, it's hard for a city to kind of forget that. So I think he just plateaued after that. So I think it's good for him that he got traded and the Falcons can start over. Do I think Marcus Mariota is that guy? No, but
Oh, y'all definitely
apparently,
rebuilding now. And I wonder how not Hayden Hurst, Kyle Pitts feels about it. 'Cause I remember he had a tweet a few days ago talk about like it's go things. He kind of lose some lines like things gonna get spooky in Atlanta real soon. Like basically because everybody was thinking that Deshaun Watson was coming to Atlanta. It seemed like every day was lining up, and then boom, you trade Matt Ryan, then you get back Marcus Mariota, who's a lesser quarterback. Yeah, he's more mobile, but
but see,
he doesn't have the pedigree that Matt Ryan has.
here's the thing. If I'm the Falcons, right? Okay, I'm not a GM, but let's hypothetically. We have all the sports conspiracy theories out there. Cool, whatever. I looked at the mock drafts. They said that the Falcons have the eighth pick in the draft. They said they're gonna pick this a wide receiver. I forgot his name. Wide receiver from Ohio State. Don't know why we're picking receivers. Calvin Ridley's out for a season. Cool. Jarvis Landry's still free agent. You have Kyle Pitts. Do you
I mean,
get?
he might go back to Cleveland
They've released him. Why would he go back to a team that released him?
because now they got Deshaun Watson. We're gonna talk about that in a few.
We'll talk about that in a few, but I feel like you can get they could have got a better receiver during free agency, or you can get a better receiver later in the draft. I think personally they should get the quarterback from Liberty. I always forget his name.
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. I feel like the Falcons should definitely get a mobile quarterback, especially with the weapons that they have in Kyle Pitts and whenever Calvin Ridley decides to come back after the season. I think having a more mobile quarterback after years of a kind of standstill pocket quarterback would definitely help. So I would want them to get Malik Willis. Will they get Malik Willis? It's the Falcons. It's the Atlanta sports team. We don't know. They'll probably just get a defensive end for no reason, just because they can, and everyone's gonna be upset about it. But
I
I
mean,
would.
they could use that though.
But what's more important? What's like? I feel like a quarterback is like the point guard on the football team. Like if you don't have a strong point guard, or if you don't have a strong quarterback, it's kind of just like, what do you? It's I don't know. I feel like that spot has to be filled with something that's gonna perform. You can't
Okay,
just have.
but if you think about it though, you could get far with sub or mediocre quarterback. Look at San Francisco. They got to the NFC Championship game with Jimmy Garoppolo. No
But he has
disrespect. No,
weapons
yeah, and
and a line.
no disrespect to Jimmy. Because like he's a pretty good quarterback. He's like a mid-tier quarterback in my opinion. But we look at Atlanta. They got Kyle Pitts, who's a star, Pro Bowl level tight end. Um, you got yeah, I can't be about to say these names. Russell Gage Jr. Wide receiver. You got that dude. His last name starts with a Z. Is that you? I don't know.
Yeah, don't even butcher it. We're
Yeah,
just
I ain't
gonna
gonna
look
try
it
to
up.
butcher it. I would say Calvin Ridley, but my man got suspended over a stimmy, so he's out the picture.
He said over Stimmy.
Yeah, 1,500 over a stimmy. Lost the whole
Now,
season over a stimmy.
oh yeah, he did. They went 7-10 last year.
But
They have. Oh, his last name is. I'm not even gonna mess up Buddy's
see,
name, but
I
his
know it's
first
like
name is
ZACC son.
Olamid. I'm not. I'm sorry if I messed up his name, man.
What's his jersey number?
I don't even think they got his jersey number on here. 17.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Shout out to number 17 on Atlanta Falcons.
Wow, you're wilding. We gotta do better because I'm his most likely an African name. He's only 5'8". Wow. Uh, but
You
I'm
remember like
apologize.
like in the old NCAA football games where they just had like the jersey numbers?
Yeah, it's just no. It
Wide
says number
receiver number
17.
17.
Kyle Pitts, Austin Trammell, Frank. I mean, the Buffalo Bills release
Emmanuel
their
Sanders. And Cole
no.
Beasley. Cole
Cole
Beasley.
Beasley. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
but
saying?
he's a little slot receiver, so that ain't really gonna do much.
I mean, when you have Kyle Pitts, you have Austin
They need to
Trammell.
draft a receiver, honestly.
They do, but they have more. They have a lot of picks though, so like they don't have to use their first pick on a receiver. They don't have to. There's a lot, and the thing is, this draft is filled with receivers. That's the thing.
I hear that all the time, but the thing is, if you look at it over the past few years, the first round receivers are the ones that normally come out the gate and they just soar. Look at Justin Jefferson a few years back. Look what we saw from my man Jamar Chase last season.
Hmm.
You know, rookie first round receivers, they just blossom onto the scene.
But if you're the Falcons and you're rebuilding, and you want to build a team, and you want to make a Cooper Cup, or you want to make these receivers that come in late in the draft, and you want to mold them
Yeah.
to be a
Yeah,
part of your team, then you can do that.
yeah, those guys like yeah, but Cooper Cup was not Cooper Cup.
He was molded to
Yeah, he
be
was
Cooper.
molded.
Exactly. But if the Falcons are in a rebuilding process, get Malik Willis and then do your scouting and do your due diligence and get these receivers that you're like, yo, this kid has potential. We can mold him to fit our system, and then make your own Cooper Cup. It
Well,
is because if you're already rebuilding, then it just kind of is what it is at this point.
well, there's still some receivers out there though. I believe that the Rams are trying to like do something with Robert Woods to try to
He
get him
got
to
traded to the Titans.
Robert Woods.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so that's
He,
breaking news. Huh?
yeah. You didn't know that?
No, look. Nah, bro, because last I checked, I think it was like last night. It said that Sean McVay, Les Snead, and the organization they're working with Robert Woods to, get him to like a good situation where he could succeed.
Wait. Rams shed. Okay, so I think the Rams got Allen Robertson, and Robert was traded to Titans.
Yes, because Julio Jones,
Was
they
released
got
by
rid of Julio.
Titans. Yeah, they
Yeah,
released. Yeah, so Allen Woods with Cooper Cup and OBJ because OBJ is most likely resigning. I don't see OBJ going anywhere. It's wild that Von Miller left to go play in Buffalo. Um,
that deal though was crazy. 6 years
6 years, 145 million. Just
for a
because,
32-year-old pass rusher.
and the craziest thing is, he had an okay season. It wasn't like he was like leading sacking. Like he wasn't like he had an okay season. And to me, that's when I saw this. When I saw the contract, I was like, y'all sure? I don't think Khalil Mack got that big of a contract when he signed with the Chargers.
Well, because he was traded.
He was traded. He wasn't signed. You're right. He was traded, but um, because they're around the same age. But yeah, I mean, that Von Miller trade is shaky, but yeah, Falcons they definitely have an opportunity, but in Atlanta fashion, I think they're not gonna pick Malik Willis. I think they should, but I don't think they will pick a quarterback. They're not gonna pick a first or second round quarterback. Probably, I could be wrong, but
I'll say this: I don't think that this is a very deep quarterback draft, so it's not really much out there. This is my opinion. I think next year's draft class will be much better when it comes down to quarterbacks. This year is mostly like a
I
wide
mean,
receiver draft and a cornerback draft.
last year's was deep in quarterbacks because they had what who's in last year's draft? You had Justin Fields. You had
Justin Fields didn't look good last year.
I mean
Granted, like no fault of his own, given the system, and
yeah,
basically he was set to fail. But
he was set up to fail in Chicago. I don't think he wasn't even yeah. Justin Fields. Shout out to my guy Justin Fields, man. We play because what I'm saying. Shout out to Justin Fields. But yeah, last year was a quarterback draft. This year, not so much. You have one or two. The quarterback from Pitt, I don't really, not my type of quarterback. Like I said, I think Malik Willis is the
Kenny
quarterback of this
Pickett,
draft. Kenny Pickett. I think Malik Willis is the quarterback of this draft. Say what you want, but he can read the playbook, read defenses, has a hell of an arm, and he can still run in the pocket. To me, it's a no-brainer. If I'm a team that needs a quarterback, that's your guy. It's kind of not that hard, but NFL teams and front office are going to make it hard because there's politics and whatever. But that's the quarterback of the draft, in my opinion. But will the Falcons take a quarterback? Probably not because they got Marcus Mariota. And they're going to be in the middle of the season where it's like, oh, Marcus Mariota isn't blah, blah, blah. Then we're going to be back to square one. So, and then I'm going to just be watching the Chargers. So, because we
all
got
right.
Justin Herbert.
All right, let me ask you this before we move on to the Deshaun Watson thing and talk about Devontae Adams and all that. For Matt Ryan, he's officially out of Atlanta. It's the end of an era. I understand that you're a youngin, so you did not get to see much of Michael Vick
I saw a
during
little
the
bit.
yeah a little bit, but obviously we have access to the internet, YouTube, and also we can watch like old classic games, highlights, stuff like that. But Matt Ryan, he's at the top when it comes down to like passing yards, touchdowns, wins for a Falcons quarterback. But I understand you've been very critical of him over the years, but he is, let's be fair, he is the only Atlanta Falcon to win league MVP.
Uh-huh.
He did that. Does that automatically make him the greatest Falcon quarterback of all time, or is it still Michael Vick in your eyes? Well, because you from out there in Atlanta, like Michael Vick is to Atlanta what Derek Jeter is to New York.
Yeah,
So
I think Michael Vick, um, he was that guy. I think you have the people's champ and you got the champion. That's kind of how I see it. I think Michael Vick in Atlanta will forever be the people's champ or the people's quarterback. But when it comes to who the quarterback is, then yeah, it's Matt Ryan. And the thing is, I'm critical of Matt Ryan, but the thing is, like I said, I can't take away what Matt Ryan's done, and I gotta give respect where it's due. And he was still a hell of a quarterback, still league MVP, took them to the Super Bowl, didn't win, but he's like you said, the only Falcon to get league MVP. I think that puts him in a different caliber of quarterbacks, especially if Falcons quarterbacks. And so, as of recently, I think he's probably one of the best Falcon quarterbacks that they've had, given the fact that again, they don't have any rings to show for it, but statistically, he is. So you kind of gotta give them the props where they're due.
Agree, well said. But you're Atlanta name, but you're a Chargers fan, and your Chargers they got Khalil Mack via trade. Khalil Mack, he's actually having a pretty good season before he got hurt last season with the Bears. But the AFC West has been very busy, very busy. Devontae Adams is now with the Raiders. You got Russell Wilson with the Broncos, Khalil Mack with the Chargers. The Chiefs, all they do is just reload. Do you think that your Chargers? 'Cause I know I made a joke a few weeks back said that Chargers still like the third best team in the AFC West, but right now that was before Devontae Adams went to Vegas. So where do you stand with the Chargers right now? Do you think that you guys have a very good shot at if not the playoffs, make it get into the AFC West, winning the AFC West, or are you a bit worried about the rest of the teams in your division?
I'm
KC ain't
worried.
going nowhere.
I'm worried simply because of our defense. And I think the last 2 years when I watched the Chargers games, it was always our defense. Our offense could score. It wasn't the fact that we couldn't put up the most points. It was that our secondary was lacking when it came to pressing receivers, missing coverages. And I could literally tell, like watching the game, their secondary safeties and like one or two corners, miscommunication and really not really knowing the best way to go about it. So I think them beefing up their defense in this draft, drafting more safeties and corners and beefing up their defense, I feel like if they beef up their defense enough, I don't think they have nothing to really worry about. Because again, Justin Herbert's going to get you touchdowns. He's going to score the ball for you. But now the name of the game is, can you not let the other team score as much as you? And that's kind of the situation they've been in for the past 2 years. Because, like I said, I watched not last year, but the year before, they played the Chiefs twice, and both times they were leading the Chiefs going into halftime. But when the game ended, they lost by like either a field goal or a touchdown or something. So again, it comes down to the defense. So
Y'all
getting
did, y'all did beat them last season though. Either y'all almost gave the game away. Like Brandon
yeah,
Staley, dumb coach, but that's the story for
yeah.
another
So
day.
it's like their defense. I think the Chargers need to focus on defense, and they did a good job by getting Khalil Mack. Him and Joey Bosa is gonna wreak havoc for AFC West quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, and Derek Carr. But again, I think it comes down to the secondary. As long as if they can beef up their secondary with some talent, then they got a shot at the NFC West, in my opinion. Because like I said, Justin Herbert will score for you. That's not the issue here.
Do you think the Chiefs should be worried with all this influx of talent right now in the AFC West?
Is they're gonna call their bluff. I think that's how I look at it. Because for the longest time, the Chiefs have been like, "Yo, we're the team in the AFC." Blah, blah, blah. Now that it's kind of leveled with talent and they're kind of getting a level playing field, yeah, I would say they should be scared, but they shouldn't get comfortable. I think that's how I look at it. They shouldn't be comfortable. Because like I said, if the Chargers get a defense, to me, in my opinion, they're gonna lead the NFC West. If they get a really good defense and with a combined with a really good offense, they have the ability to lead the AFC West. So I would tell I think the Chiefs just shouldn't be comfortable. I don't think they should be scared, but just don't be complacent and comfortable with, being on top for so long.
Yeah. And plus the Chiefs, they got Juju Smith Schuster as well. So that's a nice little weapon for them. With Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelsey, and them boys.
Exactly.
Miko Harmon, that's gonna be a problem. But let's move divisions. The AFC North. As you know, I'm a Ravens fan. I'm also a Rams fan. We won the Super Bowl. Shout out to us. But I'm a Ravens fan. And Baltimore, it started off promising. We were the number one seed in the AFC at one point, 8-3, leading the North. Lamar Jackson gets hurt, we lose six straight. I'm a firm believer that if Lamar was healthy for most of the season, we most likely we make the playoffs. We won at least two out of our last 5, 6 games. The rest of the way, but The AFC North, some teams got better, some teams got weaker. The Bengals, they re-upped on their O-line. They got some reassurance with Leo Collins, former Dallas Cowboy. So he's going to go over there play right tackle. I believe they also upgrade at center as well. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Big Ben retired, but Mitchell Trubisky is now slated to be like their new starting quarterback. Ain't nobody really fearful of that. But the Cleveland Browns got Deshaun Watson. They gave up a lot to get him, and they also re-signed him into a 5-year, $230 million deal. And the NFL media world is going crazy about it. But what do you feel about Deshaun Watson with Cleveland? Because originally everybody thought it was gonna be Atlanta, like I said, but he ends up in the AFC North. Gets to play Lamar Jackson 2 times a year. They play head to head a few times in the regular season. Lamar Jackson beat him each time, blown out the Texans. And and me, I might be a little biased, but I think it's gonna be the same story with the Cleveland Browns. But where do you stand on Deshaun Watson? Do you think it's a good fit? And what do you think about the deal that he got, given all the allegations surrounding him and all that?
I think that I honestly think that the deal itself, 230 million over 5 years. I think for someone like he's talented amid the allegations, not aside, we're not going to negate the fact of what happened, but he is a talented quarterback. Because you were 230 million and blowing up your whole team for. Now that's another question teams have to ask themselves. And I guess the Browns asked themselves and said, yeah, sure, whatever. You lose Baker Mayfield, you release OBJ, you release Jarvis Landry. The only person you got now is Nick Chubb. So you have a subpar offensive line.
Baker is still on the team right now, though.
He wants to be traded. He's not
Yeah,
playing,
yeah.
but he's not playing. He's probably gonna get traded either draft night or leading up to
He's
draft night.
he's overrated anyway, man.
I didn't even see the hype, but he was just I don't know, but
This
he
is
was.
this is this is my thing with Baker Mayfield, because Mayfield to me he's kind of similar to Cam Newton in a sense. Because remember Cam Newton in the early days when he was in Carolina, he always was needing to do that. It's like a sore loser, very pouty, moody all the time. Especially when
Yeah.
things don't go his way. He got criticized for it. But with Baker Mayfield, even though the NFL media do criticize it to some degree, but not to like the
No, they
degree
be
that
they give it to him. They give Baker Mayfield the jokes. Like what I've seen, they get at him.
yeah, yeah, they do. That's why I'm being fair. I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm just saying compared to Cam, and Cam has more accolades, to his credit than this dude. But
Mm.
for some reason, it's always like this excuse surrounded about Baker. Oh, like it's the coach's fault because he had the whole situation with Hugh Jackson. Oh, it's the offense that he's in. With Odell, and then his father had to make the tweet, basically how to get his son out of there and basically prove that, hey, like, it's not on his son. This man, he's missing his reads and all that. So it's always seems like it's always somebody else's fault when it comes down to Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's true. I just think Baker Mayfield they didn't put the accountability on Baker Mayfield. And like you said, they started hit you allergies. They started they started blaming other people, and I didn't like how they did it to OBJ and him coming back from an injury, and how they kind of scapegoated him, and that's why I wanted him to win a Super Bowl so bad because I think it was necessary for OBJ to win to get a win, and yeah, so I think Baker Mayfield is just he has to take accountability at some point that he's
Okay,
not a top level quarterback just yet.
where do you see him going if he was to get traded? Like, what's a good fit for him? Because the Bears, they got Justin Fields. They got to get him ready. The Bengals got Joe Burrow. The Bills got Josh Allen. Denver got Russ. Brady's coming back for another year in Tampa.
Hmm.
Kyler's in Arizona. You got Herbert with the Chargers. Mahomes, he ain't going nowhere. The coaches got Matt Ryan. The Cowboys got Dak.
Kirk
Dolphins got
Cousins,
Tua.
Vikings still got Kirk Cousins, correct?
Yeah.
I
Eagles got
mean,
Hurts.
I feel like Baker could go compete with Kirk Cousins for a starting job. I would. I mean, yeah, I think he could if because Kirk Cousins last season he didn't. He was okay. I don't think he was spectacular, but he was okay. But I think the Vikings wanted to make it interesting this season or this training camp. Bring in Baker Mayfield and have a quarterback competition. I think Baker Mayfield could go and compete for Kirk Cousins' top or starting spot. I wouldn't. It wouldn't be that far fetched for me in my eyes. So
The only other spot I see for him is New Orleans.
they just re-signed it. They just extended Jameis Winston, and then they signed Taysom Hill to a 4-year, $100-something million contract.
Yeah, but the thing with Jameis though is that he did not finish last season as a starting quarterback. Granted, that was due to injury, and he was pretty decent. You know, if you was to like average out to 17 games, he'll
Mm-hmm.
probably put like over like 4,000 yards passing or close to 3,800 yards, something like that, 20 plus touchdowns. But I see New Orleans and Seattle as the best possible landing spots for him.
Yeah, because they need a quarterback. They need an actual. Well, I mean, Jameis. I mean, the Saints need an actual quarterback to go off of, and the Seahawks, after trading Russell Wilson, if they don't get anybody in the draft, they have to look at Baker. I don't think they have a choice. I
Yeah.
don't think they have a choice because you can't go into the season with Geno Smith. No shit. No disrespect to Geno Smith, but you need.
They also got Drew Lock though in the trade back from Russ. He is supposed to be like the young QB prospect in Denver.
Drew Lock isn't bad, but I think this is Diet Baker Mayfield. That's what
Diet.
I mean. At that point, it is. Drew Lock is just a kind of Diet Baker Mayfield. Might as well get the real thing at that point.
All right, so let me ask you this: because in regards to Deshaun, then we'll move on to the pick and roll. Would you have given him? Because granted, like you have some women in sports media that like they're lashing out in regards, especially like Marty Karam, basically saying that the Browns giving him that deal is like a slap in the face to all women. I personally disagree with that, but you know that's her. That's her take. She's entitled to her opinions and her thoughts as a woman. So I digress with that. But if you was a GM, let's say for instance you had control of the Cleveland Browns, would you have given Deshaun Watson the deal that he received, given everything surrounding his name right now?
I think I personally wouldn't. No, because he hasn't played for what, a year, two, 1 or 2 seasons, and he
Last
hasn't
year, just
played
last year.
just last year. Okay, 1 season. He hasn't played in one whole season. Now he's probably worked out. But he hasn't been to a training camp. He hasn't been to anything in over a year, and that's a big investment. 230 million over 5-6 years is a huge investment in a quarterback, especially a quarterback coming off of really serious allegations. So my thing is, personally, would I have done the trade like that? No. I think the reason he didn't go to Atlanta was because Cleveland offered him so much money. I think that is the reason why he didn't, because Atlanta most likely didn't want to match or didn't want to invest that much money. Again, a quarterback that hasn't played in a year, hasn't went to training camp, hasn't went to practice, and we don't know. We don't know, is Deshaun Watson going to come back and be Deshaun Watson like he was in Houston, or is he going to be different? So would I do it personally? No. I think
But yeah, did he make a mistake? Because is Cleveland a more stable situation than perhaps a young up and coming team like the Atlanta Falcons?
no.
Is
I
it like
think
did he make a mistake chasing the bag? Yes.
he is chasing the bag. I think he did
No, I'll
because
say is it a mistake for him to do so?
yeah. I mean, but again, it depends on what he values. If he values chasing the bag, then obviously he made the right decision in his eyes. But if he wants to chase a legacy, championships, or whatever, then you went to a team that's kind of imploding on itself as of right now. Their starting quarterback doesn't want to be there. The receiving core is kind of non-existent now. The only weapon you kind of have now is Nick Chubb at running back with a subpar offensive line. Like
They
DeMar
got
DeRozan said,
they,
there's a difference between a basketball player and a hooper.
they got some
Same thing
pretty
in
decent
football.
receivers though. Donovan Peoples Jones, he's pretty decent.
I
Going
mean,
up against
again,
Rashad
decent.
Higgins.
The thing is, and it's not to say that they don't have a receiving core. Like the receiving core is decent, but when you lose an OBJ and a Jarvis Landry, I mean, they have the tight end from the Falcons. I forgot his name, Henry, or I forgot his
Hayden
name.
Hurst. Hayden wait, from the Titans you said?
He's a tight end for the Cleveland Browns. He came from the Falcons.
Hayden Hurst,
No.
Austin Hooper.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So he has Austin Hooper and Nick Chubb right now. So it's not it's not the best situation to win in unless they start drafting receivers. But
And they got that beast on defense and Miles Garrett leading that defense. So there's talent there. It's
there
definitely.
is, but I feel like he had more winning potential in Atlanta. I think that's just how I look at it. Like I said, Calvin really comes back. You get Kyle Pitts. Now if they would have got Deshaun Watson. Then with the first pick in the eighth pick in the first round, you can get a receiver. So then
I
you got a top receiver with Kyle Pitts, and then you can get a running back later. But I feel like he had more potential in Atlanta than he did in Cleveland than he does in Cleveland.
Honestly, I think his best landing spot would have been the Miami Dolphins. I think that would have been the best situation
They
for
already
him.
have Tua, so I think that kind of
He's
negated
better.
that.
He's better than Tua. He's better than Tua.
He is better than Tua, but I don't think the Dolphins are believing in Tua right now.
I
So
don't. I don't foresee Tua being in any GOAT conversations or one of like the best QBs in the league. You know what I'm saying?
let rookies. I feel like you gotta let rookies cook. Let them cook. At least
He's
give them
not a
like,
rookie no more. He's
well,
on his
not rookie.
third
You have
year.
to give young players, especially quarterbacks, a time to get acclimated. I feel like Jordan Love is still a good quarterback, and the Green Bay is just letting him sit on the sideline.
I mean, they gave him an opportunity to play. He didn't play too good.
That is true.
So, but it's hard to follow a GOAT like Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? Like Aaron Rodgers, he's definitely one of the GOATs. So, and speaking of GOATs, let's get into the pick and roll. When the pick and roll, ladies and gentlemen, and those of you that's new to the segment, basically I asked a question in regards to like the sport of basketball. If you pick it, that means okay, you gotta pick it apart. Like you disagree. If you gonna roll with it, all right, then we gonna let it rock. LeBron James having a great statistical season, one of the best seasons of his career. No player in NBA history has had a better season at age 37 and older. So fair play to LeBron there. But the Lakers right now are struggling. They're in ninth place in the Western Conference. So at the time of this recording, they are in the play-in tournament. But everybody seems to marvel at LeBron James' individual greatness, which he is doing a marvelous job. But LeBron James fans, I have to say that LeBron James has the most toxic fan base in all the basketball. People think that Nicki Minaj fan base is toxic, like the bar.
Bars.
I don't think there's a fan base more toxic than LeBron's. Not even Beyonce's Beehive, in all honesty. Like LeBron has the most toxic fan base in all the professional sports, and they always use the argument of stats, like like this man, he's so durable. He's played like no player in league history has played at this high level at this age. At age 37. Mind you, Michael Jordan towards the end of his career, he was fighting for championships in his mid 30s. The point that just came with the wins. LeBron James, like, okay, regardless of what, everybody's like going crazy over the dunk that he had with Kevin Love. But Kevin Love, he was barely in the play, but that's neither here nor there. And they did get the dub last night. Shout out to them. But seems like everybody always marvel at the statistic will come down to LeBron. Beforehand, I remember when this dude said that when they came back from 3-1 to beat the 33-9 Warriors, he felt that he was the greatest player of all time at that point. That was off his team success. Now, all of a sudden, now that the Lakers are basically they're underperforming, they're not living up to expectations. Even though me, you, and Donnie were all saying on the show that we all saw this coming. Basically,
Yeah.
did we think it would be this bad? No, but we knew that it wasn't gonna work. So let me ask you, no, are you picking and rolling on the simple fact that stats is what determines GOAT stats, like in terms of what makes you great rather than like team success? Because we're talking stats, LeBron James, he already has that over MJ. He has that over Kobe, whoever you consider to be the GOAT. Do you feel like stats matter more than actual team success, or do you just say like look at the numbers can't be denied. He's ahead of these two great players, so he has to be up there.
I'm gonna pick on this one just because, just briefly, just because I get again when it comes to the GOAT conversation, it's a fun conversation to have. It's a real arbitrary conversation to have because we can't have young Mike and young LeBron go head to head unless we're playing 2K. That's the only way we really gonna see them play like that. But to compare and to really get a GOAT of basketball, it's you have to have I think we have to have a criteria. I think everything, your entire career matters. Whether it's your stats, your rings, team success, solo success. I feel like all of that matters when it comes to are you the best, the greatest to ever play basketball, and that's the question we're asking. And for a long time, it was Michael Jordan. The greatest to ever play, who transitioned the game, who changed the game, changed the culture of basketball. Definitely Michael Jordan. And now LeBron James is kind of, I think he's trying to he's trying to cement his legacy at being the greatest to ever pick up a basketball. And I mean, at 37 to average 30 points a game still, and you're putting up a stat line that a lot of NBA players haven't even put together. You're still doing it at 37.
Yeah, it's impressive, but it's like at what cost? Because what's the narrative that we always hear when it comes down to LeBron? Oh, he makes his teammates better. That's always been a word, right? He makes his
Mm-hmm.
teammates better. Russell Westbrook is no better now than he was before LeBron. Russ averaged a triple double last season. Now he's averaging like 18, 8, and 8.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Anthony Davis, once upon a time, was a league MVP candidate during his time with the Pelicans. He had yet to average over 23 points per game as a Laker in 3 seasons.
Yeah, I
But this
mean,
man's supposed to make his teammates better.
I
While
feel like it's the system.
his numbers stay just about the same or gets better, everybody else's numbers, superstar, all-star players, their numbers drastically decrease.
I feel like it's the system that they play in, the system that the Lakers have put together. Russell Westbrook normally is a ball dominant point guard. And when you have LeBron James bringing the ball up the court, you're kind of just like, okay, I can't really do what I normally would do. Even in Washington, he was putting up really crazy numbers with Bradley Beal because he was a primary ball handler. But when LeBron James is a primary ball handler and you're a ball dominant guard, that system's not really going to work in your favor to put up the numbers that you used to put up because you're not really in control of the game like you used to be. So for Russell Westbrook, again, like I touched on it last week or 2 weeks ago, it's just the system that he's in. Like Russell Westbrook is still a great basketball player. It's just the system that he's in. He's now that Anthony Davis is injured, he maybe is the second option. The third option may be um I don't even know who the third option would be. So maybe Russ Westbrook is the second option now. But with
Yeah, because AD is out right now.
but with
So
AD in the picture, Russ Westbrook's the third option. He's always used to being the go-to option. So like it's the system that he plays with. And LeBron, he makes people better, but as of recently, like I said, it's a system. He creates the system. He created the system in Cleveland, and once they left, they kind of all combusted together because he was the focal point of the system. I'm gonna be the ball dominant ball handler, and I'm gonna make y'all better. Cool, but now you take me out of the system. What do y'all have? Well, we don't got a ball dominant player that can fill these shoes. So again, I think it's a system, but to answer your question for the GOAT, I feel like there has to be a criteria that we go off of. It can't just be rings, and it just can't be stats. It has to be a combination of your career and your contribution just to basketball in general. I think that's a better realistic view of like trying to get the GOAT conversation to make sense. Instead of like, oh, because if we're going off rings, Bill Russell's the GOAT. He has what 11.
yeah, but it was less teams back then. So
I mean, but he still has 11 rings. That like you can't take rings away. Like they are what they are.
you can't, but so at the same time, you play less rounds in the playoffs. Cause it was a 3 round format back then. They weren't playing best of sevens. So, but Bill Russell, he's in my top 10 all time though. Based on like his contribution to the game, he's a winner. Like he won in high school, college, and the pros and the Olympics. So he's won at every level.
Yeah.
No, so he's the ultimate winner when it comes down to the sport of basketball. But I'm a roll with it. I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna take a surprise take, but I'm not gonna use LeBron statistics though. I'm gonna use MJ statistics because people have to understand. Michael retired twice. He retired at 93, missed a year and a half. This man was getting like 2,000 plus points a season easily. You miss a year and a half, that's almost close to about what 3,000 points right there. Then he retired in '98 after winning his sixth championship. Retired for like 2 seasons. Come back in 01, 02, cooking, dropping 40 plus point games with the Wizards. You know what I mean? So missing those 2 years, let's say he's like around like what 1,500, 2,000 points. He would still he'd be neck and neck with LeBron James right now in terms of total points. If you take into consider that he missed about 4.5 years of his basketball career. But people always use like the whole LeBron he played 17, he's played almost 20 years in the league. He
Yeah,
came in the league at
because
18.
I mean, because the thing is like we start to go back. But well, what if he did? If he did, we can play the what if game. But the fact is, he didn't.
It
And the
matters
fact
though.
is, I mean, it doesn't really matter because it's not part of the argument. Because we're going based off what we can see. What we can see is LeBron is still playing at 37. He's still playing. LeBron's been playing basketball from the damn near his whole life. He's been in the league since he's 18. He's now 37, and is still an elite player in the league at 37. Not to say Michael Jordan wasn't an elite player, on his decline, but LeBron James is still in his peak. LeBron James hasn't really slowed down yet. So he's still maybe towards the end of his peak, but he's still peaking right now. He hasn't descended yet. And so it's like maybe it's when Bronny gets in the league, maybe out like a season, a couple two after, but facts are facts. And Michael Jordan, yeah, he retired twice and came back, and he missed these points because of whatever. Yeah, he did. Okay, but we're looking at what's in front of us.
Yeah.
We can play the what if game all the time to
Yes,
kind of
but
make an argument.
let's put things in perspective for MJ though. He averaged 30 points per game for his career.
Mm-hmm.
He played 1,072 career games. LeBron James has played about what 1,400, and
Mm-hmm.
MJ has scored 32,292 points in his career
Mm-hmm.
in 1,072 games. Now, when you take LeBron James into consideration, LeBron is averaging 30 for the season with 38 and 6, 30.8 rebounds, 6 assists. For his career, he's averaging 27 points per game. LeBron has played 1,364 games and he has scored 36,985 points. So he's played about 300 more games than MJ and has 3,000 more points. So that's why I say I'm wrong with it. So a simple fact that I know you can play the if ands and buts games. If my auntie had a, you know what, he'd be my uncle and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But it matters in this case because the points per game averages, the per 36 and all that. Like basically like Jordan's. And plus, when he came back at age 38, he averaged 23 points per game. Not too far. Like who knows what LeBron would be like at 38 years old. He's already been suffering from nagging injuries so far this season. You know what I mean? But I think it's a combination of stats and rings as well. Because we cannot change the narrative where LeBron said, "Oh, he makes his teammates better." Look what he did with the 2007 Cavs team. He drafted to the finals. He drafted 2018 team to the finals. A team that initially had D Wade, K Love, Isaiah Thomas, D Rose on the team, and then they all got traded. And he had his backcourt George Hill and J.R. Smith. And he took that team to the finals. And he had like Rodney Hood and Danny Green and those boys. So how we go from he could take any team to the finals to now a team with Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, AD, and all these guys. Oh, they're ninth place in the Western Conference. Oh, so it's Rob Pelinka's fault for building the roster. But this same man could take any team to the finals. That's what I'm hearing. So what happened?
I would say the scoring title. I think LeBron knew that scoring title to get Kareem to match up with Kareem is important. I think he knows it was like I think that's the only difference now. He's trying to cement his legacy in basketball with the scoring title. Um, I think that's pretty heavy on his mind. Not to say the championship isn't, but I think it's more on his
I
mind
mean,
than
at
winning a
the
championship.
at the end of the day, LeBron James doesn't win another ring. It's cool. He won a championship with every team that he played for, every organization. He did his part. Most likely, he's gonna have a jersey retired in Cleveland, in Miami, and in LA. So
Yeah,
he did his part from that perspective, you know. So fair play to him. But when it comes down to the GOAT debate, it's still MJ for me. I know that's just for me.
I respect that.
For you, it might be Kobe Bryant. So who knows? But
Bean, shout out to Bean. You know
shout
what
out
I'm
to
saying? Shout out to Kobe, shout out to Bean
yeah.
Bryant, man.
And shout out to those of y'all that made it toward the end of this episode, the Outta Bounds podcast. We didn't have the big three in full effect, but you know, me and the boy Young Blood, No Austin, we're gonna still give it to you. You know what I'm saying? Give you that content, you know, as only we can provide for you. You know, that's not from a mainstream sports media perspective. You know, give you the raw and unfiltered truth as only Out of Bounds could. So we reached about that time. It's about time for us to plug ourselves on the way out. But before we do, just want to let you guys know that if you enjoyed this week's episode, please hit that like button, hit that share button, tell your friends about everything that we're doing here in the Tuck Podcast Networks. Subscribe to the channel, be part of the Tuck family, and stay tuned for further updates in regards to content, shows, podcasts, interviews, and all that good stuff. So with that being said, my brother Noel, let everybody know where they can find you on social media, what you're working on, all that good stuff.
Y'all know what it is. If you don't know, it's also on everything: Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Um, I'm just finishing school, man. I've been doing social media detox, so we chilling for right now. But I got some more articles in the works. I got some ideas to run through Atlanta Streetwear Market, April 23rd. Tuck finna be in the building, so if you're in Atlanta, you gonna see me there. We gonna do something with them. That's really about it. Atlanta Streetwear Market, April 23rd, man. Tuck gonna be in the building again for the second year in a row.
Let's get it. And then Dottie, he's not here, but you know his at Donnie D dot O double N double I E. The dude being mad complicated with his names. And also, you're in the Philadelphia area. You don't have to be in the Philadelphia area, but you know you can check out my boy, his radio show. I forgot the name of it. I'm sorry. See, that's why you should have been so you can plug your own shit. But you know, it's the thought that counts, I guess. But shout out to Donnie, my man. He's doing big things. He's a radio head now. I'm proud of that guy. He's a true MVP. Love you, brother, and hopefully we'll get you back next week. So you could probably plug your show because I forgot the name of it. No, I go. My fault, bro. And as for me, Ladale the Fashionista, also the moderator and True Culture IG page. So you want to make any inquiries in regards to like collaborations, sponsorships, advertisements, you know, event coverages, interviews, holla at me in the DMs and we'll get you right. All right, so with that being said, guys, hope that you enjoyed this week's edition of Out of Bounds podcast. Not only are we on YouTube, but also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon. I forgot the Amazon podcast
Basically
joint.
everywhere where you get podcasts.
Yeah, everywhere except for Apple Podcasts because they still playing. But we're available everywhere else.
Now we're on Androids and not Apple, man. Come on, man. Come on, Apple.
I mean, Androids are better anyway. That's sweet.
It's because you old. All right, we're gonna get him out of here.
Whatever. And as always, remember, y'all.
We love black women.
We love y'all.
We love black women, man.
And Hell Hydra.
Oh.